Welcome to Emerging Franchise Brands, the podcast that introduces you to the visionary founders of America's fastest growing franchise opportunities. We'll also hear from industry pros as they share what it really takes to achieve the elusive milestone of 100 plus locations. I am your host, Frank Fiume, founder of I9 Sports, and my 20-year journey from inception to acquisition has given me a unique perspective on how to succeed in franchising. Join me as we welcome today's guest. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. On today's show, I have the founder of PastaNito, Toni Calderone. Toni, how are you today?
How are you, Frank? I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad we finally got you on the show.
I know.
This has been a long time coming. I'm super excited.
There's the president, and then there's me. I'm hard to get a hold of, right?
You are not the easiest, but we're glad we're finally doing our show. Oh, well, thank you. All right. So why don't you tell the audience all about PastaNito? What in the world is this company?
Yeah, it's a disruptor by nature, right? I'm running it. So we have to shake things up a little bit. So, third generation restaurateur. I'm a pizza shop girl by blood. My grandfather originated pizza in my hometown, and now I'm originating quick service pasta. So what PastaNito is the Chipotle style of fresh pasta fast, made to order in the pan, set up in front of you, and that's it. Need I say more? That's the concept.
Well, the obvious question I have is that why hasn't anybody done this already?
It's not that it hasn't been tried, Frank. It just hasn't been trued. So what I mean is like the greats of our pasta brands that we know and love, like Barilla, they tried it in New York City and didn't get it off the ground because of honestly, it's all comes down to the pasta cook time. So as you know, you're a home chef. It takes about 12 minutes to prepare a bowl of pasta. And then by that time, if you overcook it, they're hugging each other, the noodles in the pot. And did I cook it too long? Did I cook it not enough? And when you have a line like you do at a QSR, you can't maintain quick service with that model. You can't par cook enough, then you got to recook it, and then you got to flash pan cook it. So there's literally too many obstacles to the easiest thing to cook in our kitchen. And the reason why I was able to do it is I have a fine dining restaurant that I started this whole thing with. And we discovered by making our fresh pasta from scratch that there's a 3-minute cook time on it. And our secret ingredient is our water in our area. So, this is where I geek out. Like, I get really nerdy about this fact. Like,
that's all right. All right. Let me have it. This is great.
I go full on nerd. So, York County is where we're at, and on the map that's in Pennsylvania, and it's actually the nation's first capital. So, fun fact there, and this matters in the story. So, the utility of the York Water Company was the first ever publicly traded utility company in the stock market. So it's true from the times that they were making water purified back then to where we have this beautiful reservoir and we have, this purifying system that it goes through instead of dousing it with chemicals and just making it clear, right? So because of that, we were able to learn through trial and error that, flash frozen noodles rehydrate in 3-minute cook time rather than having to compete with chemicals and rehydrate and get this pasta back to perfectly al dente every time. So it's literally the perfect place at the perfect time in the right industry to figure this out. And the water in our county is equivalent to the water in Italy, to where Disney ships it down to their pizza shop in Epcot to make their dough. And, the same things that we've been hearing for years and years and years, that New York bagels are the best because of their water, and same with the pizza.
Right.
So it's literally what's happened in our world of pasta. So I've had great mentors along the way, Joe Bastianich being one of them. He's a huge restaurateur, entrepreneur. His main chef from Del Posto left and Michelin rated, like the best chefs in the world are trying this concept. But again, it's keeping up with that volume and being able to par cook enough of the dry pasta off that you're able to execute for the volume and the demand. So the supply and the demand don't meet. So what we've done is created an entire distribution center. So I have a pasta factory, 13,000 square foot factory where we just pasta produce. And, now we're in distribution and now I'm ready to sell the storefronts that are making it possible to pretty much do an assembly line of fresh pasta, fresh ingredients, your fresh unlimited vegetable options in every bowl that we make, and then your proteins and sauces all in front of you. So we're open, exposed kitchen. There's no mystery of what's going on behind the back of the house. And, we produce your perfect pasta bowl in under 5 minutes and you're out the door. So much so we've executed it with a drive-through as a pandemic pivot.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So when I say disruptive, Frank, I mean it.
You're not kidding.
I mean it.
What made you choose getting into the pasta business to begin with, considering you were in pizza, right?
Yeah,
And then
yeah,
fine dining.
yep. Yeah, so
What made you decide this concept was to be born?
well, when you're an entrepreneur, you're an opportunist, right? So you have this vision. So since I was 17, it goes back to 14, my first job working McDonald's, because my father had the idea of the pasta bowl and then the pasta bowl express, which it was the elevated version of the pizza shop, right? Because he married into it. So he was a serial entrepreneur. He told me, look, this is a commissary. This is a spin-off with the express. It's going to be faster. So at 12, my wheels are turning and I'm not an average, 12-year-old. So I'm like, okay, when I could get my first
Right.
job, Dad, I'm going to go to McDonald's and learn how they did it. And then I did. And then from there, I just kept going up the corporate ladder. I worked for Darden, figured out systems, figured out, how they did it. And then my first business plan in high school was a drive-through pizza shop called Slices. And yeah, my teacher failed me. I roll my eyes to that because he failed me. It was a perfect plan. You could have taken it and opened it up. But he failed me because I didn't show up to class. I was a senior and I was like, I got this. And he failed me and he taught me a huge lesson that you have to show up. You have to show up to make your vision come to life. So from there, you try to get this idea off the ground and you take left and right and you travel to your goal with a compass rather than a map. So it led me to
Mm-hmm.
fresh pasta. So I knew I had a drive-through concept fast food franchise in there somewhere, but what was it
Right.
going to be? So when I opened up two Tony's 12 years ago now, it's a fine dining, farm to table, fresh scratch pasta restaurant, and we're charging $35 a bowl there. So when I knew we had this pasta that cooks in 3 to 5 minutes, then started the 12-year overnight success story, right?
Right.
So we pivoted to a rigatoni food truck, which is the best name ever. All right.
Okay, I like it.
Yep. So we had the pasta truck that allowed us to, maintain our $35 price point experience at our fine dining restaurant, but test the pasta. So we were executing lines out the window and getting it done in 5 minutes, and we knew we had something. So from there, we tried brick and mortar. So instead of, because I'm a restaurateur and knowing how much it is to start up a restaurant, I created Taste Test Restaurant Incubator in my hometown. So we created
And this is all in Little York,
yeah,
Pennsylvania.
all in little.
Wow,
I
okay.
grew up in Orlando, so Mickey Mouse set the bar.
And Mickey set the bar high for you.
So we could just keep creating. This is my own little Disney World. It's fun. So I took it as an opportunity to help other fellow restaurateurs create their brands and then also be able to run mine through as a pop-up. So there wasn't so much
Hmm.
expectation on us figuring it out. So we ran through a few times while the other 28 concepts are running through too. We ran through our brand and figured out what not to do. And the fact that it was here today, gone tomorrow, so we could get our bearings together and try again. And then from there, COVID hit us. 2019, I opened up my first market stand of what was called Presto at the time, is now turned to PastaNito because I got a cease and desist. I had to
Nice.
go through that process, which was fun. But yeah, we had a market stand and it was killing it. Like people come from all over to visit the Amish in Lancaster. So we had a lot of tourism happening. And I did it
Mhm.
purposefully in the next town so I could screw up and not hurt my reputation.
Very smart. That's a great lesson for a lot of emerging founders that are listening to this.
Yeah.
Screw up in the towns that you don't really are not focusing on.
Yep.
Get it all worked out
Yep.
before you go big time.
100%. And that's what I did. And I don't have the cheerleaders, right, that are just blowing smoke because they love what we've
Right.
done. I want real feedback. I want real life experiences and I want to learn what I could do better. And we did
Hmm.
that. And then COVID right in the middle of our momentum. So what we did, I had a full four, this is an edited version, four full service restaurants operating at one time. So when COVID hit, it's
Just when COVID.
yep. So it was a nightmare to keep going. And I had my C-suite who was priority, 250 plus employees in all these restaurants. Everything was so unknown. But the night that we heard that we were going to be shutting down the next day, I pulled in
Hmm.
my team. We went to my mom's house, Godfather style, around the table. I said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pivot and we're going to sell pounds of pasta off of our food trucks in neighborhoods like the ice cream truck. And we're going to keep everybody paid. And as soon as the doors open again, we'll just put you back in your spots and we don't have to worry about the stumble because it's like a freight train stopping. You stop from the hitting the bunny in the tracks, but the whole
Right.
train's messed up, right? I knew that was coming. So I said, it's
Right.
not going to happen to us. So let's, pivot and try to work our way through this. So instead of working on my full service restaurants, I dove all into the Presto brand. So I was negotiating from my roster. It's the best thing having restaurants. So from my reservation list, I was calling realtors that I knew from serving them because my
Hmm.
dinner tables, their dinner table is my conference table. So I totally took
Sure.
advantage of that. And I negotiated super great rates for leases with second generation restaurants while everything was shut down and I was opening.
Hmm.
So I opened up 7 locations and my commissary full bore with all of my C-suite, chopping whatever we could do just to keep moving. And then I was going to take this time and not freeze and wait, but to learn what does this fast food pasta look like? So let's do it in all
Hmm.
of these different blueprints. Let's figure out our perfect model. Let's do it in drive through only when nobody else was open. We had lines wrapped around. Okay, now we have to figure out 5-minute cook times and service times. So we figured that out under the gun. And then, from there, we just realized that we did malls to figure out what that looked like. We did markets. We did second generation Five Guys, realizing that's way too big of a space for us. We
Hmm.
executed third party delivery, drive through. We did a second generation Brewsters. So we were drive through and pick up only. And we were doing killer business to where we could keep growing and figuring it out. So I negotiated short-term leases, so I no longer have all of those spaces because there's no need. Now I know
Smart.
what to franchise. So then I pivoted, burned the boats. All of the other full-service restaurants are no longer my concern because that, let me tell you, I got promoted. I'm now a franchisor. So I'm focusing on what we've developed by learning what not to do. So I'm very proud of all the
Wow.
money that we've invested in. I was always self-funded, so I opened those restaurants
Hmm.
to keep dumping into this idea. So now we're here, we got our FDD, and we're ready to franchise the concept and the model and the idea because it has been beat up and put into so many different renditions of it that I am so confident that when we do bring it to communities across the nation, we're going to really bring it.
You are ready. You went through so much, obviously, during COVID, and the ability to use all of those places as like a laboratory.
That's what it was, yeah.
When nobody else would have that kind of opportunity to take on all these different spaces to test out their business.
Yeah,
When most people were thinking about hunkering down and how to save their business, you went into offense
I did.
where most people were in just defensive mode. And that's incredible.
Thank you.
So you go through all this. Now it seems like though the idea of franchising though came earlier than the pandemic. Is that true?
Yeah, yeah.
So what made you decide like the way to grow this thing is through franchising? Like why franchising and when did that all happen?
It's a great question. So, I was working with a wonderful consultant. He has had his hands in a lot of different franchises, including Annie Ann's and Soccer Shot. So he was very
Hmm.
familiar with the franchise world. So I brought him on as a consultant because he's in my neck of the woods. And as I was developing what is now PastaNito, I went back and forth. It was, do I want to open up a lot of different corporate owns and then work as a commissary and do distribution internally and be like a Chipotle style? Or do I want to be a franchise? So Heather Lee Neary was also a great mentor to me through all of this because she was in Lancaster. She met with me and she's like, franchise, franchise. And I was like, okay. So it was literally getting the expert opinions of those who have been in the world before me and taking mentor advice. Because I think
Hmm.
honestly, I would have been struggling with that still to this day because you get into this mindset that you can do it because I had all these restaurants and a hospitality group. I could just hire regional managers and we can figure this
True.
out. But after pandemic, I realized how hard labor was and how hard it was to herd the cats. I was like, I don't need to be greedy with this. I need to share this idea with the world. There are probably other small business owners who are looking for something new and disruptive. There's probably a mom out there who her kids are in school now and she probably wants her own business and I can help her get that off the ground because I'm a mother of
Hmm.
3, right? And I'm able to do this concept and be full-time mom. I've simplified ops so much so in the franchise development and growth. because I took that mindset on, okay, I'm going to share this with the world now. I started simplifying. Instead of this is how I could do it great, it's how can everybody do this great. So that really changes your mindset because I may be able to handle pressures of the world times a million because of what I've been through in
Mm-hmm.
my life. Doesn't necessarily transpire to the stress of the next person coming up behind me. So how do I create something that's simplified but amazing that you could feel passionate about introducing to your
Mm-hmm.
community and then plug into your community? Because the best part of my career thus far has been serving the people and getting to know the mouths that I feed, right? Like seeing the little leagues come in after their games or before getting carved up. Like it's a great tool to feel so much more than just paycheck coming in. So I wanted to figure out how to share that instead of being selfish and holding it on. So I'm glad I made that move. I partnered with SMB in the process. They've been amazing. Just any questions that I have, it's like I don't need to figure it out anymore. Like I'm tired of figuring it out. Tell me what I need to
Right.
do. So
Sure. There's enough experts out there that you don't need to do trial and error.
yep, and that
You
and
know.
that's probably one of the best things that I've done is partnered with experts in my attorneys, in my advisory group, in who I'm working with, who's on my C-suite. It's been a huge pivot from being a restaurant owner, now
Mm-hmm.
franchising, in the sense that, it's not about the dishwasher showing up anymore. It's about how you're showing up for everybody. Now
Sure.
I have a lot of different bosses. It's pretty exciting. I'm just getting started, so I'm very naive to what this world looks like. I'm trying to get immersed as much as possible, getting to know a lot of people in the community, such as yourself. I was very excited to meet you on this journey so far. So it's just a really cool community in the sense that we're all trying to make the world a bigger, better place by putting our little spin on things. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely. So you have the two company-owned locations,
Mhm.
plus now we understand. So you have a franchise
Mhm.
that is now going to open multiple locations,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And are you looking to open your franchises around the country or stay regionally? Where are you thinking right now?
Yes, I'm set up in distribution to go nationwide. I'm excited about the opportunity to do so. If I get a fantastic lead from some part of the country, I'll do my best to make sure that that
Mm-hmm.
deal comes through. I'd like to strategically stay focused on the East Coast since that's where I'm located. So if there's like a pasta emergency, I can get it to them immediately.
Right.
Like they're so successful, they need more pasta. I could get it to them. Because I mean, the proprietary pasta is the secret ingredient to making this work. So I want to make sure that we're strategically growing in a way that just offers the most support to the people who are excited about owning their own.
Right. Okay. And what about what goes with the pasta? All these sauces. Did you come up with the recipes? Are they family recipes?
Yeah,
Where'd you come up with
so
them?
we did have all of our own pastas being made in-house. I mean, our own sauces, I'm sorry, being made in-house. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a big labor of love. Right, like, and I'm a Sicilian woman, so if you were screwing up my sauce, it's a big problem. So we took it to third party distributors who've been doing this for years, and I've made sure that we've done all of the taste testing to make sure that we're offering the best products to our customers. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe that I need to reinvent every wheel. I just need to find the best ones out there to make this vehicle move and
Yeah.
focus on delivering the pasta.
Now, what about the water? Because you mentioned how important the York, Pennsylvania water is. So how do we deal with that issue if you open a location in Boston or New York?
Yeah, I mean, the boiling water makes no difference. So wherever you're coming up with your boiling water, as long as it's salted by like the sea, our
Mm-hmm.
pasta is made with that water. So the water that it's being cooked in is not going to matter because the water it was made with is what you're really looking for. So we'll have our
Okay.
factory here and then distribute from here. And I'm in major distributors right now with our proprietary product. So we're locked and loaded. All of the front loaded work has been done.
Awesome. All right. So about franchisees, Toni, who do you think is your ideal franchise owner? And what do you think are the traits they really need to be successful with your brand?
Yeah, so this is when I rely on the advisors because the heart in me, the entrepreneur in me, who ran the pop up,
Uh-huh.
wants to give it to everybody who
Everybody.
you get you get a
You cannot be the Oprah of
I
pasta
cannot
franchises.
I
No,
cannot.
because people are passionate about
Hmm.
pasta, right? So they like it, and just because they like pasta definitely does not mean they're going to be a good owner.
Correct. Right. So I've been very grateful that we've been getting a lot of interest, a lot of leads are coming our way. And I take the last phone calls because I want to make sure that their headspace is in the right place, right? Like, I was the Simon Cowell of the group. Like, are you sure you really want to be in the restaurant business? Do you know what it requires? So I'll like burst your bubble and hit you with some
Right.
truisms, like you might have to miss your kid's soccer practice. Are you prepared for that? Oh no, I
Sure.
don't want to be. So I think that through this process, I want a seasoned small business owner, somebody who maybe wants to diversify their portfolio, who maybe
Mhm.
has successful brands already and wants to, add something that doesn't compete with the brands that they already own. So a
Sure.
multi-unit owner would be ideal.
Hmm.
Finding somebody who already exists in the world. For those of the people who are qualified and are looking for their own business and maybe they've been struggling with the thought of taking the plunge, it's someone who's just ready to dedicate themselves to something and be community driven.
Awesome.
Just a reset button to maybe the lifestyle they've been living and they want to now put their time and effort into making a difference in their community.
Sure. So you're okay. So you're open to single unit franchise owners as well as multi.
I am, but I'm being very selective. Like I'm getting off the
Yeah.
ground. So, I mean, the people that I bring into this, I want to make sure that we're both helping each other grow.
Right. What's the investment range to open a location and how big is a footprint now that you've mastered that?
Yeah, right. So 1200's ideal. We're at an end cap right
Okay.
now with the drive-through, and I know they're like unicorns in the real estate world.
Hmm.
A second phase of this is going to be a standalone drive-through. We're working on that concept now. So entry level right now is inline stores, 1200 square feet. The investment ranges from 400,000 to 550,000. We are a turnkey concept as well, meaning that we are going to help you find your location. We're going to help you get lease negotiations underway by demographics and everything that we have locked and loaded by working with companies like Reimagine, who's going to help us do that. And then we're going to take care of the construction and build out in FF&E, which is different and disruptive because
Mm.
as a restaurateur, and I've been through this build out experience 100 times, it's the biggest headache to struggle to get the point to open. So if I can mitigate all of those headaches by handling it in house with a company, and you're just worried about getting open and getting trained and getting excited and getting marketing out there and focusing on your business rather than the blueprints and the permits and the sub showing up but not being on time, those headaches out of the way really allow for my franchisees to be set up out of the gate as we all just watched the Kentucky Derby and realized how important it is to get out of the gate correctly.
Got at it. Yep.
So that's my philosophy behind this. So with simplifying operations, I want to simplify your barrier to entry. I just want to make sure that we give you the materials and support to get to open. Also, that helps me to have control over the timeline. So I don't have a bunch sold and not open yet, and they don't know if they want to. Now let me control that we're moving, and here's your update. Here's where we're at in the process. If I maintain that control and sell it to the franchisee as we're helping you to get rid of some headache,
Hmm.
then it's just going to be a better growth strategy for us.
Tony, that is a total win-win
Thank you.
situation and disruptive, like you said.
Told you. My
For you guys to
germs.
take on that, yeah, you're taking on responsibility of making sure the construction gets done and it's done, but it's done to the way that meets your specs, and there's no question on whether it's getting done right.
I mean, it is a bigger a
Yeah,
bigger undertaking and against
right.
advisement from a lot of people in my world. I do this and I have relationships and there are other companies who do this for you. So if I feel
Hmm.
overwhelmed as PastaNito to be able to handle another build out, I have no problem with subbing that work out, right? Like there
Sure.
are ways around it. It's more work for my team to be able to figure out, but I think that is a value that we add by adding
Yeah.
someone who that's their sole purpose on my team is to make sure that my Z's are getting open accordingly.
Yeah. How many would you like to open in 2025?
2025, I'd like to get, well, we're already half the year. I have 2 deals coming down the pipeline. I want 20, but I think that about
Okay.
10 is realistic. Um, and then next year, I'd like to target about 50 and then I have a 505-year plan. So
Wow. I was going to ask you, like, what do you see long term, or as this is a legacy business for
it
you, isn't
is.
it?
It is. It goes back as far as my grandfather. Like it was very special to me that I lost my father in the midst of all this, and he was my cheerleader. I call him my Mickey to my Rocky.
Aw.
It was my mom's idea, but she was always a stay-at-home mom because my dad went out and did the business. And then same thing with my
Hmm.
grandfather. My grandmother stayed behind the scenes, my nonna, and pushed her husband to go do the job, right? So when my
Hmm.
grandfather, my nonna passes, and my grandmother, nonna, she goes, It was always me. She's like, I pushed him. She's like, now you're on the front line. She's like, I did that so you could go out there. Now you go do it. And I was like, thank you. And then my mom too. So I come from
Wow.
entrepreneurial women who always wanted to do it, but the
Yeah.
generation didn't allow for that. So
Sure.
now that I'm able to be mom and front leader,
Right.
it means a lot more to me. So which is why I need my hand in it. So I have 100% of the company now. I have PE interested. I have Shark Tank
I bet you do.
interested. So it's a big decision for me because it's my heart and soul behind this, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
disruptive and it requires somebody who says, "Where's the brick wall? I'm blowing through it."
Right.
And I'm here showing up for that in that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you ever imagine that you'd be here where you are with all that's going on, 10 years ago?
Always knew I was gonna do something big, and I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how, but I was gonna.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I couldn't imagine being on the trajectory I'm on now and just how mind blowing it is at every corner of the leagues that I'm now in. I'm sitting at the
Mm-hmm.
table with CEOs of some very big popular brands in these conventions and conferences because it's such a welcoming and open community and it's a
Sure.
small one. So it's humbling. It's so rewarding. Even when you have a discovery call, it's so rewarding that other people see your vision and they want it for their own,
Mm-hmm.
where it was always rewarding to feed people at my tables. Like it was always an honor to have you choose my restaurant when there's $100 ones. Like, thank you so much for
Right,
coming
right,
here. Thank you so
right.
much. So now they want to buy your business. And that's like an ultimate compliment. And now I need to
Absolutely.
show up for them to help them become successful in ways that, you know, I have to be
Yeah.
prepared to do.
Toni, kind of franchising aside, what do you think advice maybe you'd give to other founders that are starting out and they feel intimidated?
Mhm.
And you're somebody who is doing it and you're in the beginning, yet you've done so much already and you're beginning part of your franchise journey. But what would you tell an emerging founder that's starting out that feels intimidated about getting into this and starting to franchise? And what do you think it really takes to be successful?
Sure. Grit and tenacity, first and foremost. So, whatever passion is inside of you, and you knew that you had this desire to make this idea come to fruition, when you take it to franchising, it's a little intimidating in the sense that you're taking your masterpiece and you're asking others to buy into it. And it's
Mm-hmm.
almost vulnerable. It's definitely unknowing. It's something as a planner and as a project manager, you can't manage. You can't manage the growth. You have to be patient with the process and trust the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instant gratification is something that entrepreneurs strive for. We love that, right? Like, good job, that worked. Let's do
Right.
it again. Or that didn't
Sure.
work.
Get the reward.
Yep, that didn't work. Oh, let's do it over again. Like, you just have to be patient and you have to trust the process and be confident in what you've created thus far to bring it to the table and learn and ask questions, to go and show up to these conferences. Maybe you don't have the money to put into, $10,000 a month to get a lead or five or 100. But you do, if
Mm-hmm.
you have the money, I'd say first invest in yourself and go to these conferences and listen and, learn from people who are on their way back that tell their stories, share their stories. Platforms like yours is perfect for learning. There's a certain magic in someone wanting to tell you their biography to where it's right, the knowledge is right at your fingertips, and just have that confidence, keep that candle burnt and burning bright inside of you, that you had that confidence to show up for yourself to get this far. Keep showing up
Mm-hmm.
for yourself to get a little farther each day. And if you keep doing those little baby steps and you keep committing to the bigger picture, eventually you're gonna look up and you're gonna be like, here, right? Because you're just
Right.
worried about
Right.
those steps. So it's definitely not an overnight sensation. I mean, I am struggling the most in my first year of how slow it is to get off the ground because I'm like, all right, who wants one? And
Right.
it's not that way. You have to find the right people. It's dating. It's dating. You have to go through a lot of duds before you find the one. You know?
Right, right. Well, in franchising, especially because you're saying, like, as an entrepreneur, we do want the instant gratification of seeing the success, and franchising is like the exact opposite. It's the antithesis of what we think entrepreneurship should be, of getting that
It
reward. Because
sure
being a
is.
franchisor, we're not going to be profitable right away.
Correct.
It takes many years before we're, quote unquote, royalty sufficient,
Yep.
and before we can, not have to worry about bringing in the next franchise.
Yep.
So it is definitely not for the faint of heart to go into franchising, and it's definitely not the making a quick buck.
Nope, it's a long game. I keep explaining that to my team. We got to stick to the performance, stick to the plan, try to get what we need to do to get this far ahead, and then it'll show up 6 years from now.
It's a hockey stick.
It really is. And I think that's the biggest pivot in learning franchising, just how much you put into it now will show up 4 or 5 years ago, and how much systems matter. So from the start, like if you're starting up, I say put more time into the systems that you're selling the next person. So when you do have 50, 60, 10 sales even, that system is reliable, that you can multiply it over and over again and not having to go back to the drawing board and refix the system. So if you're putting more time into what you're starting, building that foundation, learning what softwares are out. I mean, it's a big world. Learning all of the different offerings out there first before you start piecing your chessboard together, and then go. That's my biggest advice.
I think that's great advice, because you either pay now or pay later. So you might as well get it done.
And it's all expensive.
Right. And it only gets more expensive if you have to correct all the problems that you didn't get worked out in the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Toni, what's been your biggest surprise since becoming a franchisor?
Boy.
About franchising.
Boy, you know what? I always had fun on my whiteboard creating like goals and projections for my team. Like if we serve this many people, we're going to make this much money and then a percentage of this. When you do it in multiple in the franchise world, it's kind of mind blowing of what the potential could be, right? Like, and you're talking in the billions for people like Crumble Cookie and, Jersey Mike's. Like, it all started with an idea. So I think that was the biggest surprise to me, is like hearing other success stories and how they got bought out by PE by several $100 million. And it's like, that's the problem. Let's just work to get towards that. Like it's normal, average, everyday conversation in this world. So that was a big surprise because, it's just a different language. I can't take to my restaurant association in York County and say, hey, I just got back from this conference when the multiples are now 8 times your EBITDA. And they're like, what? I'm just trying to make my food costs this year. So, yeah, it's you have to train your mind to think differently in the franchise world.
Yeah, no, it is a total different world. Let's talk a little bit about industry trends. Are you seeing something that maybe from the time you started, 7 years ago to today because obviously you went through COVID, but now even coming out of COVID, are you noticing trends that have changed in terms of what your customers expect or competition?
Absolutely. So I think it's very safe to say everybody's looking for another healthful approach to fast food dining, right? Like as a society, I think the numbers with what we're seeing with, major fast food chains are struggling with getting their clientele back in the volume that they used to have because it's a new world. People are now more informed and looking for more information as to what they're eating. What I really am leaning into right now is that we are a healthful approach to quick service dining. You don't have to feed your kids burgers on the go because that's the only option available anymore. Chicken sandwiches or tacos or burritos. Like there is a way, just like they do in Italy, to eat pasta on the go. It's just a matter of teaching the public and training the public. But what is absolutely working in my favor is more people are looking for that healthy dining. So when you walk into a PastaNito and you see our beautiful presentation of all the fresh vegetables, and we're pushing unlimited option. Like if you get the veg option, it's unlimited. You want another scoop of spinach? Let's do it. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So I'm really, really leaning into that and not feeling like, oh my God, people are wanting burgers. Like, no, we're offering something different. Our new slogan is we don't do burgers, we do better.
There you go. That's great. Yeah, because kind of thinking about, obviously there are so many franchise opportunities out there, right? We have 4,000 franchisors that are running around selling units. Yours is clearly different, but I would also imagine when you're talking to potential franchisees, when they're doing their due diligence, you're sharing with them what customer likes are, what makes you different, why this is a great opportunity. But at the same time, you said earlier, you don't want to give everybody a franchise. What do you say to them that we don't want to scare them away, but you mentioned earlier to the point of, are they willing to give up, missing their kids' soccer game and stuff,
Yeah.
but about the business itself. Is there anything that you want to share with our audience about when somebody is doing their due diligence about your franchise in particular? The
Yeah.
things they should look out for?
Yeah. So I'm a restaurateur from a full service world, right? So I'm very well aware of all of the different variables that go wrong in the restaurant world. So what I did with simplifying operations when it was hard to find anybody to work, if you had a pulse, I was hiring you. So I needed to make sure that the systems that I developed were dummy proof, essentially. So what you're buying with us is a well thought out, well executed, simplified system that executes less variables and problematic situations and investment. So we removed, for example, open flames. So I can have 16-year-olds cooking in my restaurant. I removed, Ansel systems in the hood so there's less barrier to entry with the build out design. And, prepped food items. You don't need the chef behind in the kitchen to figure out your food costs and your menu anymore. I've leveraged all of the technology that exists in real time, knowing from my phone where exactly my inventory count is, where exactly my food cost is, where exactly my labor budget is, everything in real time. So being a brand new system and being able to leverage where we are in the technological world makes us different in the sense that from day one, we're doing that instead of having to reintroduce it to my pre-existing franchisees. Everybody's getting onboarded with gamified training systems and everything's, interactive. So employee retention is a big part of our core values. Being a female leader in the restaurant world, I think has a lot to do with being able to simplify and taking the ego of the chef out of it. Like we don't need to complicate it with whose recipe is better, but still have that homemade that feel because I'm still Sicilian.
Right.
You have to make it homemade quality. But how do we do that in a way that keeps up in today's America? What does that look like?
Right.
And that was
Sure.
really the biggest part of our system that I wanted to create that was different and unique offering as to, having to teach somebody on the grill and it's a lot. There's a lot of effort in that and it doesn't need to be itself. So that's what we
Right. Toni, what would Dad say about all this?
he'd probably drop a few F-bombs and call me crazy and tell me he always knew I could do it. He always made me
Yeah.
feel like I could do it. So yeah, I hope.
Is there any piece of memorable advice in particular that he shared with you that you'd like to share with our audience that he gave you?
Yeah. Yep. The one that I always reference is he first told me not to sell my soul. He's like, you haven't sold your soul yet. Don't sell it. And he said, if ever you want to know what's ahead of you, kid, always ask somebody on the way back.
Ooh, very nice.
So that's what I've been doing. I don't take anything for granted. If I'm in a room with somebody who's done it 100 times better than I'll ever do it, I stop them and I ask them, hey, you got a minute? Can you tell me
My
something?
gosh.
Yeah.
Toni, that's exactly what you've been doing all along here.
Trying.
That's fantastic. That is beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I don't think we can top that. So I want to wind down by asking you if someone was interested, and I know there's a lot of people out there that will be after they see this, but if anyone was interested in opening a PastaNito, where would they go?
Yeah, so our franchising website is ownapastanito.com, and that'll give you our whole playbook and all of the transparency and what you need to learn about our brand. And then you can contact us through there, and we'd be more than happy to connect and discuss an opportunity.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I got one last question for you. If you had a friend that came to you and they were thinking of becoming a franchisee of another brand, with all those opportunities out there, what would be a good piece of advice you think you'd give them to make sure they're making a good decision?
Yeah, I think it's very important to do your due diligence. I think it's very important to feel something for the brand. I know that we're taught to not put our feelings into things, but if you're having to show up for yourself every day to make something come to life, just because you get the tools to make the system open doesn't mean you have the tools to make the system work. So whatever you're committing to, make sure that you have a passion for it and a likeliness to fall in love with it over and over again because it relies on your spark. No matter what the title of the store is, it's still you running it. So when you're doing your due diligence, make sure there's something that speaks to you that says, I can get on board with this.
Toni, that is fantastic advice. Thank you so much for being on the show. I really
Thanks,
enjoyed
Frank.
this. You did a great job.
Thank you.
I wish you all the best.
Thanks, Frank. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you. You're great.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.